And then your next game, you guys played Vanderbilt, and this time Florida jumped all over the Commodores, up 35-0 at halftime. Uh, and everyone was just making plays all over the place. And at this point in 2007, like a year ago to the day, you guys played Vanderbilt. You beat them, but you guys weren't playing well every week. 2 years ago, you were just barely escaping with your lives every week. How much better did it feel that you're just blowing teams out left and right? How much more confident were you in your team's total ability?
We're very confident, but like I said before in the interview, after that Ole Miss game, guys just took it upon themselves to week in and week out show that we're the best in the nation, and each position group took that personally, from offensive line to D line to forward, so on and so forth. Everyone took it personal that they were the best in the nation, and we just tried to prove it week on, week out. And I remember a saying we said, dominate your opponent, dominate your position group. DBs beat receivers, and vice versa. So, that's what we try to do week in and week out. And every opponent, I feel like, they didn't stand a chance because of what Ole Miss did to us and for what we felt, for what we took upon ourselves after that game. And like I said, every Saturday we just tried to show that we were that number one team in the nation.
After Vanderbilt, you guys played South Carolina, a team that was ranked top 25 in the nation. They didn't look it. Florida beat them 56-6. And, you had a pretty awesome punt return in that game, too. Take us through that return.
It was crazy because I can look back on my career, and there are a few times where I caught myself running backwards. I never really get into running backwards and trying to, make a big play out of nothing. And that was one time I did. I remember receiving the ball, and as soon as I caught the ball, I was always a daredevil. I would call myself, so I would always try to, not fair catch and catch the ball when guys are right up on me. This was a situation where I did that, so a guy's right up on me, and I remember him trying to grab me as soon as I got the ball and shrugging him off and running backwards to elude some guys. And after getting away from them, you make a couple guys miss, and then the big play starts. But like I said before, in one of those other returns, when you're making so many guys miss in small areas, you're not cognizant of those guys chasing you. And that was another situation where you're making so many guys miss. Once you finally straighten up and you see the end zone, there's a guy full speed behind you. And I didn't quite get to the end zone, but it was, a great return, set us up a good field position, and we got 7 points.
And after that game, you guys cruised against the Citadel, got to play FSU. And this was the rivalry game, except this time it meant something. You guys had to win, whereas the previous year you just wanted to win. This time you had to win if you wanted to be the national champs. How important was this game to you personally going into it, knowing that you had to win?
It was very, very personal and very important just because, like you said, the BCS looming right in the backdrop, and and with Florida State being a rivalry and not wanting to lose to Florida State and being undefeated so far in your career, you have to get that win. And with it meaning so much, it means even more. It magnifies it a little bit, and you just want to prepare and want to just be ready so much for the games. And I remember coming out to the game and seeing all the rain. I was never a big fan of the rain, so once I see that, I'm like, oh man, here it goes. They turned on, they flipped the switch and got us this week. And, we just came out and played, and our guys responded well from it. And it was just, a great day for, Big Gator.
You did. And just like everybody else on your schedule, except for Ole Miss, you guys made FSU look like a very inferior team. You went out, and on offense, defense, and special teams, you just crushed them. But it seemed that this time around, the guys are having more fun. I mean, like, Tebow was jumping up and down a little bit more than the year before, it seemed. Like at halftime, Carlos Dunlap was pointing at the FSU fans, doing a little tomahawk chop. Guys were jumping up and down, like even after the smallest plays. It just seemed like the entire team was having fun. Did it seem that way to you too on the sidelines?
I think all that year we were having fun, but I think it was kind of magnified a little bit more that game just because of as the year went on, we were being favored more and more to become that national champion and being in that national championship game. So we're, the magnifying glass was put on us a little bit more. So you've seen it a little bit more, and a lot of light was shed on it a little bit more. But throughout that entire year, we we were having fun, and we pride ourselves on that. You know, we played the game with a lot of passion and a lot of heart, but we also always wanted to have fun and leave our heart out, just leave our mark out there on the game. So everyone, in their own right had their different, things they did throughout that game and throughout many games, to show, just their enjoyment of playing the sport and just being blessed and humbled by the moment.
Well, after that game, you guys were at a big crossroads. You lost Percy Harvin, but you were going on to the SEC championship game, which is always your goal at the beginning of the season. But you'd also come off of the huge win against FSU. How did Coach Meyer handle it? How long did he give you guys to celebrate that victory, and how long did he say you guys had before you had to start thinking about Alabama?
It wasn't long at all. We're a team that always were looking for ways to work and looking for ways to get better. So we weren't looking for, days off or ways to get away from football. We were ready to prepare and ready to beat Alabama because, the previous year we weren't in an SEC championship game, so we weren't looking for ways to get away from it. And as far as losing Percy, it was tough. It was tough for all of us to deal with because that's your brother that's been out there with you all year, and he's not going to be able to play. But we took it personal because we knew he was doing everything he could to get ready for a national championship game. So we wanted to make sure he was in a national championship game when he came back to play. So, we just tried to do that.
Well, in the SEC championship game against Alabama, you had several big returns, and none of them were touchdowns, but they were all for great field position. How much do you think that impacted the game itself?
I think it had a great impact on the game because looking back on it and knowing what I know now after, after being able to set an SEC championship game record of kickoff return yardage in one game and, having the punt return yardage. And I think throughout one play I made that was big in teams that not a lot of people remember is Javier Arenas had a very good return, and I made the tackle. I was the gunner that year, and I actually made the tackle to stop him from, possibly get into the end zone and make it even a bigger return. So, everything I did that day on special teams and, the few plays I made throughout offense, they were big and they were great momentum shifters.
Well, Florida's first drive, they go right down the field and they score a touchdown. Alabama comes back and in 2 plays, they strike right back. And this is not something that the Gators were used to. Not since you guys played Ole Miss did you have to go back and forth with a team like this. So, what were you thinking on the sideline watching Alabama score that touchdown?
You have to take game on because when you're in the moment, when you're in a fight or a battle, you can't think, oh man, what am I going to do? You have to just respond and react and keep fighting and keep going. And that's what we did. And so I was always the person thinking, okay, how can I make it play? How can I leave my mark? What can we do as an offense? And that was always the mentality I took. So, each time I touched the ball that game or each time I was a part of offense, I just tried my best to leave my mark and help the team, come out victorious.
Well, throughout the game, you guys continue to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. At the end of the third quarter, though, Alabama leads 20-17. Tim Tebow then pulls everybody aside, and he gives a speech. Remember what he said?
To be honest with you, no. I don't remember one word of it. I can remember that, he's always a passionate guy. So whatever he said was something very motivating. But, me being a leader myself and just me, I know you may or may not put it in me, but me myself, I never needed much motivation. So I was never a guy that would even, of course you respect Tim Tebow. So when he's talking, you're going to look and pay attention. But, a lot of the talking and stuff like that was for younger guys and for other guys that, needed that talk and motivation to get going. I wasn't a guy that needed that. I was ready to play and was ready for that moment. So, I was one of those guys that were kind of, piggybacking and getting guys going with them, with the Brandon Spikes and with the person Harvin and, the Cornelius Ingram that was a part of that team that year, Lewis Murphy, we were the leaders that helped get that team, over those humps and over those, adverse situations. And like I keep saying before, the media just took it upon themselves to kind of pinpoint Tebow as our leader because he was the quarterback and, he was one of the key leaders. So at that moment, though, I can't really recall what he was saying.
Well, you just touched on my next question. The media is pointing at Tim Tebow as the hero. Tim Tebow was doing everything, and he did a lot. There's no doubt that Tebow was the catalyst of that comeback. But meanwhile, on the sidelines, there's Percy Harvin. He can't play, but he's standing there. What was he doing the whole time?
And like I said, with Percy Harvin, there was Cornelius Ingram. A big, he was a big key the year before on our team, and even in the year, my freshman year, we won the championship, and now he decided to come back his senior year, and he was out for the whole year. And we're in the SEC championship game, a step away from getting him an SEC championship. So he has a lot to say. He has a lot of input, and things he wants to say to the team. So guys like him and him and Cornelius Ingram together, they just did a great job, man, of talking to us when we came off the field, and just having our backs, man. Because like I said, as a team, we wanted to get it for them. They aren't able to play, like I said, Percy was training and getting ready to be back in the bowl game, so we wanted to take it upon ourselves to get him to the national championship game, and they did a great job of just being on the sideline and being supportive.
What was it like knowing that, you have Tim Tebow, the warrior, on your sideline, but he's never pulled off a fourth quarter comeback? What were you feeling at that point?
You just have it's a sense of calm. You feel like, you have a proven winner and a proven veteran, so you're not really worried or, not really concerned. Just trying to get the team pulled together and just get the comeback executed, and that's what you're supposed to do throughout the game. And, that's what it was, not only him, but just the team as a whole. We had so many guys that can make plays, and, we had so many guys that were now leaders and, veterans, for our team. Like I said, it was just a sense of calm, and, we just had to take care of business.
Well, Tebow led the first drive right down the field that ended with a pitch to Jeff Demps that went in for the touchdown. Then the next drive, Tebow leads. Florida goes right down the field again, and he throws a beautiful slant to Riley Cooper for the touchdown. What was your sideline like when you realized Cooper had the touchdown?
Oh, just pandemonium. Everyone excited. Everyone trying to rush to Riley and apparently, just show our enthusiasm and how happy we were, not only for them, but just to go up in that game and, like I said, execute the comeback in perfect fashion. And like I said before, it wasn't just, Tim willing us back. The offensive line had to execute the blocks. Receivers had to make catches and, different things like that. So as a team, I felt like, we just came together and just executed, and it all, happened at the right time.
Well, up until that game, everybody was talking about it as a matchup of Florida speed versus Alabama's toughness, saying, well, the Gators have the little fast guys, Bama's got the big monsters. But what do you think about the Gators' toughness in that game?
We definitely had pride. It was something that we prided ourselves on leading to that game, and all year, off-season workouts. And I know that's something we talked about previously in the interview. Just all off-season, we just wanted to come back and make a statement off of that. Our sophomore season, that we were tough and we were able to, withstand some of these better teams that just try to ground and pound and run the ball and different things like that. And I know our defense definitely took it personal. So, being to that game, we heard a lot of that talk, but at the end of the day, you have to come out and execute and just stay poised and just try to get the game won, and that's what we did.
Well, you did win, and this was your second SEC championship. And how did it compare to the first one?
It was definitely a little bit sweeter, to be honest. Like I said before, your freshman year, you're young, you're going off of a lot of what upperclassmen are telling you. They educate you on how, to prepare for games and how to, get ready for SEC opponents week in and week out. But, now that you're a junior and you've been through the fire a little bit and been through, winning a national championship, now you're, coming off a bad season. You know what it feels like to be up, at the top and then back down at the bottom. So, winning that game and knowing as juniors we had a major impact. And, myself, like I said earlier, in that game, setting the SEC championship game record for yardage and it was just big. Like I said, it was definitely, compared to the first game, a lot more sweeter. But at the same time, you can't. It's hard to weigh in number of championships in order because all of them were very sweet.